All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and formally start it off again. Thank you for joining today. This is one of the things that SPIDA instigated, I guess, back in the fall. This is our third webinar that some of our members have given, and it's not to promote their product or their service even. It's to help us as SPIDA members and potential SPIDA members just do better, be better. And so I've been real excited about having Graham Johnson from the HVAC Duct Manufacturers Alliance to join us today. A lot of you, I believe, are familiar with his organization, but they promote lean manufacturing or con continuous improvement. I started to say constant improvement, that too, but
Oh,
continuous improvement. And but today, I think he's going to talk
no,
more
I
about
don't. I
just,
see
just
very
making
little. I see.
each each of our teams better. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Graham. And Graham, the floor is yours, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Robin. And everybody, thanks for being here today and spending a little bit of your afternoon with me. I'm excited to be here. And just like Robin said, the goal for today is to provide value to SPIDA members. That is all of you. That's my intent here. And hopefully the information that we cover today is going to be valuable and applicable for you. That's my desire, is that you'll be able to take some things from this and apply them today, apply them tomorrow, this week, in order to make you a better leader and better your organization and help your people and ultimately be more effective at whatever it is that you do, whether you're a spiral duct manufacturer or you're a supplier to that industry or whatever your role may be. So I'm going to get my screen share going here. And if there's any tech issues that you all are experiencing, please let me know right away and we'll make sure that we address those as soon as possible. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. All right, so it's great to see all your faces as well. I always love speaking to people rather than a bunch of black boxes with names in them. So I appreciate that, guys. One thing I will say right out of the gate, if you've been in a couple of these SPIDA webinars already, this one may feel a little bit different because I like interaction. So my goal is not to sit here and preach at you for the next 30 minutes, but I want to have a conversation with you. I believe that, as much as I think the things I'm going to say today are good, I think the most value you'll get and the greatest learning that you'll have today are the insights you gain from each other through sharing. So as we're going, please feel free to interrupt, ask questions, challenge me, ask for clarification. Don't be afraid to do that. We're all going to be better for it. So any questions, guys? Sound good? Everybody's tech working? Okay.
Note to James. James, I got somebody trying to join and they're having trouble getting in. If you can kind of watch for that, please. Take off, Graham.
Okay. All right. So today our topic is building a culture that works. I stole this line directly from Austin Keating after talking to him because he came up with it and he's an expert wordsmith and I am not. So I just say a lot of words really fast. He says good words and puts them together well. So I stole his words. This is going to be 5 keys to improving your culture. So let's start this off. I want to start off right away with a question for you all. And I want you to consider this and answer if you want. Do your employees approach their work with the same mentality as you do? Raise your hand. Let's change this up. Raise your hand if your employees approach their work with the same mentality as you do. Drew. Drew is the only person I expected to raise his hand because Drew's been hard at work on his culture for a long time. But interesting that was the only hand I saw go up. I didn't miss anybody, did I? Okay. Why? How is your mentality different from theirs? What's the difference? What do you think? I'm assuming I'm speaking to a room full of business owners, business managers, executives, people who have maybe a little bit of a higher stake in the organization. So how is your approach different from the average employee? What would you say?
I mean, I guess I can give our journey to get to that point, which is a long one, was really driven by the EOS system and discovery of what our values were first, uh, defining them so we created the same picture in everybody's head. So, what does work ethic, accountability, sacrifice, humility, pursuit of excellence look like? And then next is getting the right people on the bus and getting them in the right seat. And that is a process, and getting some of the wrong people off the bus.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much the process we use to get to the point where we are, but that took years.
Mm, yeah. So what I hear you saying too, if I could sum that up, is that you felt this way, but your team didn't necessarily. And so it was a long process of finding the right systems and finding the right people in order to kind of impart your mentality and get a group of people going in the same direction. Is that kind of what
Correct.
you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to highlight the differences maybe between how you approach your work and the people who work in your organization, work for you, approach their work? Any other differences stand out?
I'll go back to my design polymerics days, Graham.
Yeah,
Right now, being a company of one, yeah, my vision aligns with me. Back to the design polymerics days, I would say the majority of people shared the vision, the drive that I did, but not all. And just like Drew, it took a lot of time and effort and weeding out to get the right group of people. I wouldn't say it was completely done, but everyone had ownership in the manufacturing, in the sales. We worked as a team, most of us. There's some 9-to-5ers there, and I certainly was not a 9-to-5er. And you can't expect someone making $35,000 to, take calls on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And have be invested in a solution the way that myself and the salespeople were involved in it, and the production people. But we were close to having everyone on board.
Nice. That's awesome. Again, though, sounds like a long process, lots of weeding out, lots of trial and error, and eventually building the team and moving in that right direction. Thanks for sharing, both of you guys. I appreciate your stories. And what I'd like to highlight is what we're really talking about is the difference between an ownership mentality and an employee mentality. And my question for you is this, I want you to consider: what if everybody on your team was focused not just on the task at hand, the work, or getting their 8 hours in, or 12 hours in, whatever it is, getting their paycheck, but what if instead they were focused on also how to improve maybe the safety of the operations, the ease of work, the quality and consistency of the products and processes? What about if they were concerned with how to improve cost efficiency, or maybe improving the number of mistakes happening, reducing that number? These are things that owners, top-level leaders think about, but most people don't think about. However, they can think about it. And kind of going back to Scott's point, you wouldn't expect someone making $35,000 a year to think this way. Well, that doesn't mean that you have to pay them a lot of money in order to get them to think differently. Actually, there's a lot that you can do, and we call that creating a culture. And there's a lot of things that you can do to do this. Drew and Scott both alluded to the journeys they went on. Today, we're going to talk about some key things that you can focus on, some things that you can do to actually improve your culture and get people to think more like an owner, more like you, and to actually be focused on how to improve the organization. So we're going to be looking at this through the lens of how we can improve what it is that we do every day. Because here's maybe a scary fact for some of you. And for some of you, this is going to be really scary because it's actually a lot more than what I say. But we spend about 1/3 of our lives on the job. Think about it. If you work 8 hours a day, 24 divided by 8, that's 1/3 of your life on the job. We spend 1/3 of our lives in our place of work. Who wouldn't want to make that the best third possible, right? I mean, we have to do it. We have to survive. We have to do these things. But let's not just do it because we have to. Let's do it because we want to. And through the lens of how can we make this better? How can we make this more effective? And how can we increase the opportunity for ourselves and everybody around us? How can we truly bring excellence to this? I like
And
to think of that as creating a culture that works. So we're going to share with you 5
Graham?
keys. Yes.
Hey, you invited me to jump in, so here I go.
All right.
To
I may have to
expand on
cut you
that,
off, Scott, but go ahead.
to expand on that a little further with my sales folks, yeah, a third of it is working, but half the time you're awake, nearly you're at work. So if you're not happy at work, if you're miserable at work, you're miserable almost half your life. So let's figure out how to make this fun, enjoyable, and make you some money.
Amen. Amen, Scott. Thank you. All right. But since I am a continuous improvement, I'm a lean manufacturing guy. I'm a simplifier kind of guy. We're not going to give you 5 keys. We're actually going to give you 3. So this is actually bait and switch here. But I want to just do a quick sidebar before we get into the content. We're going to give you 3 keys, and here's why. I want to share with you a picture of Clyde Beatty here. And if you don't know who he is, I wouldn't blame you. Most people don't. But he was a lion tamer way back in the day. You can probably come to that conclusion by looking at this picture. But he was the guy that invented or came up with this idea of holding a chair while being a lion tamer. Maybe you've seen this either in at a circus or in circus movies or in cartoons or something like that. Well, this is actually a really powerful concept. He came up with this idea, and he was one of the first lion tamers to actually die of old age. Right? That's not a joke. That's reality. He died of old age. And that's because he came up with this technique utilizing the chair. A lot of people think the power of the lion tamer maybe comes from the whip, being able to whip that lion into submission, but it's actually the chair. And how this works is that you shove the chair into the face of the lion and it confuses the lion. Now, why is that? Because the lion is now trying to focus on 4 points coming at it at once, right? And because of that, the lion is confused, it slows down, it has to evaluate, and that gives the tamer time to adjust the situation and ultimately make the lion do what he wants to do and stay safe. We're not so different from that lion. If we get a lot of things coming at us, it reduces our effectiveness, it confuses us, it slows us down, it gives us what we call analysis paralysis. So my goal here is that I would rather you come away with one gold nugget, one good thing to take out of this and apply to your life, apply to your business and your approach to work and life in general. I'd rather you come away with that one gold nugget than give you an entire mind full of things that you have to process and sort through in order to find some kind of value. So that's going to be our approach moving forward. And by the way, that wasn't one of our 3 keys. That was a freebie. All right, end of the sidebar. So let's get into this with tip number 1. So if you want to build a culture that works, it all starts with you. That's going to be either great news or bad news for you guys. But this is really meant to be kind of a self-reality check. Because the only person you really truly can control is yourself, your own behaviors. Now, you might think, well, yeah, I can make my people do things. I could say, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to fire you. Yeah, you could do that. They could also choose to say, well, yeah, whatever, up yours, and I'm going to leave anyway, right? You can't actually control them. You can only control your own behavior. And so if you want a better culture at your organization, you want people to think like owners and be improvement minded, the only person you can truly affect change in is yourself. You got to start there. Okay, so it all starts with you. Lasting cultural change is a top-down effort. So it won't happen unless you make it happen. And as a person who's been in lean manufacturing for 20 years, I see this fail all the time because a leader will see something like lean manufacturing, get really excited and tell his people to do it, and then be confused and disappointed when they don't see anything happening, right? We can't expect our people to change unless we show through our words and our actions that we are making the change, that we are committed and willing to do those things and bring that change about, to bring that change and focus on improving the organization. And why is this important? Why is it important that we make sure we're doing the right things? Well, the reality is that your team will only do a fraction of what you do. Again, this is also either going to be good news or bad news for you, right? If you're doing a lot, you're being active, you're doing that in a visible way all the time, it's great news for you because your people are going to be copying you doing the right things. If you're not, It's not good news for you. But here's how this breaks down. Whenever you propose a change, such as building your culture, improving it, and getting more people going in the same direction, you talk about that change. Some people are going to be on board. They're like, great, I've been waiting for you to say this all along. Let's go. I've got ideas. I'm ready. Tell me what to do next, boss. So like, let's go, right? That's always exciting when you get those folks. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you also have the other guys, right? They're like, I don't understand why you're making me do this. I've worked for you for 20 years. You've always been happy with my work. Why are you making me do this? This is bull. I'm not going to do this, right? We call those people skeptical or resistant. You have those folks in your organization as well. Scott, I don't know if you have this person in your organization or not. I don't think so, because you said you're an organization of one, but hopefully not. But most people are going to fall into kind of that bell curve of being somewhere in the middle, right? And we call that being hesitant or unsure. So it's not that they're against the change. Maybe they're okay with it, but they don't necessarily know, okay, what does this have to do with me? How do I act on this? What do I need to do, right? So most people in an organization fall into that camp. Doesn't mean they're for you or against you. It just means they probably need a little bit of help to get on board with the change. So for you as a leader, if you want your people to start making improvements, if you want your people to change, you have to be an example. You have to give your team someone to follow. So what that means is you want to start modeling the behaviors you want your employees to copy. And this is something that I think a lot of us think we do, but it's a really important step that is easy to take for granted. So here's some things that you might want to consider modeling more, or evaluating yourself on how well you do these things in order to bring about change and help your people understand what you mean when you say, I want everyone to be focused on improving this organization. So here's some tips. Number one, be the question asker, not the answer giver. Okay, this is really key. So if you're the person everyone comes to because you're going to solve their problem, you're going to give them that answer, they're going to get on their way. I mean, great, we got to keep operations going, but how is that aiding in the development of your people? Most of the time it's not, because what you're actually teaching them is, hey, when you have a problem, you come to me, I make your problem go away. That does not create problem solvers. That does not create creative thinkers, or does not allow for people who have those qualities to bring that part of themselves into the organization. So rather than always giving the solution, ask questions, try to be curious, try to understand more. And through that, people will learn how to ask questions as well, and will open up their own creativity. You're going to get some ideas and some solutions that you didn't think of that will be incredibly beneficial, better than your idea, and blow your mind. Next one, when it comes to issues, challenge processes, not people. Right? So if something breaks down, if something goes wrong, your immediate reaction should not be, who did this? So you can go point fingers, but where did the process break down? So we can look at it, we can patch it up and make sure that never happens again. Right? What are we going to put in place to make sure this doesn't happen again? Not who are we going to drag through the coals to make sure they never make this mistake again. Right? Because one of those demotivates people and scares people and pushes them away, and the other one brings people together and creates a team environment. Next one, focus on what you can control. Again, I'm telling you these things so that you can act them out, because we want your people to copy you, right? And they're going to copy what they see. So focus on what you can control, right? If you can't buy a new facility in order to have more space for production tomorrow, then don't make that your goal, right? Focus on what you can control. What's in your immediate area? What can you affect change on with a minimal amount of time and resources invested? That's going to teach your people that, hey, small things matter, and you have the ability to affect significant change in your own environment. Next one, be open to different ideas, right? So the solutions don't have to come from you. Great solutions will come from outside your own brain. So kind of thinking about this question asking one, and bringing in more of what you can control, being open to other ideas and suggestions from others is going to create a team of people who are open, humble, and accountable to each other. And lastly, take action, right? And the next tip is going to play into this one as well. But if we want action to be taken by our people, we need to make sure we're taking action. And then the next tip will kind of bring that all together. Any thoughts or questions on this so far? Is this making sense?
Yeah, I really like the challenge processes, not
Yes.
people paradigm that you're putting out there. That's a new one that I haven't heard for a while.
Awesome. Yeah, it is a life changer when you start to apply those principles. Yeah, so that's a big one. Thanks, Drew. Okay, so if we're talking about making improvements in the organization, maybe this is a question that has come up in your mind. What kind of improvements should I do? And oftentimes, as leaders, as high level leaders, whether you're an owner or manager, we see big picture. You know, new software integration, new building, new piece of equipment, a new spiral machine, right? Big things, big initiatives that take lots of capital, lots of time, lots of effort to pull off. That's not what we're suggesting here. Why? Because if you're going to be an example, none of your people can do that. Now you're going to need them on board for sure, but let's show them how they can affect change. So let's look for improvements that make a difference to you, things that make your day just a little bit better. And one of the ways that I like to think of this is, what frustrates you during the day? Hey, can you never find a pen? Can you never find a tape measure? Are you always having to walk across the office for more reams of paper, right? Just these little things that just chip away at you. If you can take care of one of those in a small amount of time, minimal resources, and it makes a difference to you, that's a great improvement. And boy, does that improve your mental mood. How about improvements that have a tangible benefit? You can measure that it's better in some way, right? Like, hey, I moved my reams of paper from the closet on the other side of the office to right under my desk. So when I need to refill, it's right there. Boom. Save me a couple minutes walking across the floor, and I'm a whole lot less frustrated. Great improvement. How about improvements that others can understand? This is great too. So if you're a high level leader, maybe you're working in spreadsheets all day or dealing with financials, most people don't deal with that. They don't understand that. It doesn't make sense to them, right? It's not relevant to their job. So doing something where everybody can kind of see themselves in that, they could say something like, oh, that's a good idea. I could do that. I need that in my area. I need that at my desk. If you can do improvements like that, you're going to inspire a lot of people. And then lastly, small things and incremental changes. Those are areas we want to focus on. So let me give you a couple of quick examples here, just some pictures. And these are from some DMA members, the HVAC Duct Manufacturers Alliance. These are from some of our members. Here's one. This was out in the shop. So this is where they have a lot of deliveries or their customers come in and pick up accessories. Previously, they had an air hose in this area that they would need from time to time, and it was just on the floor, right? And so people would come in, they'd have to walk over it. That's annoying. They'd trip on it. They couldn't roll carts over it, you name it. It also didn't look very good. You know, if a customer's coming in and getting their order from here, not the greatest face of the company, right? What they do, they just very simply bent up a piece of scrap metal, bolted it to the wall, and now they have a hose hanger, right? 5 to 10 minutes, $0 invested. And boy, I could tell you which rack I'd rather spend time picking off of, right? I'd much rather be on this after side. How about if you're at a desk? Here's a before and after for you. Nobody needs to self-incriminate and tell me which one your desk looks like. I won't tell you what my desk looks like, but I can tell you which desk I would rather work at, right? So this is a great example of a simple improvement. You know, if you do this, everyone in the office is going to notice and be like, well, I could do that. Boy, look at that. That looks so nice. I wish my desk looked like that. Guess what? They're going to move in that direction. So the most powerful way that we can cast a vision is through our own actions. So make sure that you are acting on a regular basis in a way that you want your team to act, because they will learn what to do and how to improve and how to change by your example. All right, that was tip number 1. Any questions so far? Any thoughts?
You're doing
You want
good.
another one, or is that enough? Are you feeling like that lion right now?
More.
We need more.
Okay, all right, let's do another one. All right, so this kind of plays into what we just talked about. Tip number 2 is to be visible. You must be visible. And so let's talk about this a little bit more. Why is it important to be visible? I think a lot of us leaders think that our people see us, know what we're doing, understand what we're doing, and then that should be enough to motivate them and get them inspired and get them excited to follow us. But in reality, I think a lot of our people have no idea what it is that we're doing, especially when it comes to trying to improve the culture, trying to make improvements to the organization, and why we're doing that. I'm sure most of us in here have taken time to write or consider a mission statement, a vision statement, things like that. It's a very, very popular thing in the business world because it feels like you're accomplishing something. I have opinions on that if you can't tell. You are not actually accomplishing something until you're accomplishing something. Having vision statements is great, but are you visibly and actively improving the organization and your culture? Because here's the reality, nothing is more motivating than positive results. So lasting change in an organization, and this is especially true of continuous improvement or any kind of cultural change, lasting cultural change only comes through self-motivation. Self-motivation of your people. They have to be self-motivated to follow and keep doing those things, right? Because if you're just the leader and you are always pushing, if you stop pushing, that train comes to a stop, right? I think we've probably all experienced that in one initiative or another. And so for things to continue, we have to help people find that self-motivation. So think about it, like as an owner, as a top-level leader, why do you do what you do? Most people would say something like, because I own the business, I have a vested interest in this. You know, the harder I work, the more money I make. The better I treat my clients, the more they stick around, the more I separate from my competition, right? We all have these different reasons why we do this. But the bottom line is we have our own self-motivations. Well, guess what? So do all of your people, right? And so the best way to develop self-motivation for your people is to create an environment where people know why the change is important, why they're changing, how to participate in the change, how to do it, and we want them to want to change and be a part of that change. And so we call these the 3 subconscious questions. And these are 3 questions your employees are asking themselves, whether they know it or not, and what you as a leader can do about it. These are my tips for you on how to answer these subconscious questions. So that first question, why change? Your employees will ask themselves this when you propose a change. Well, why? Why? What was wrong with how we were doing it before? What are the benefits of this change, right? And here's what you can do about it. This is where you cast that vision. Talk about it. Your team's not going to know that there's a movement to join or a change to be proposed unless you tell them what's going on. How do we change? Well, like what does this have to do with me? What specific things do you want me to do? What's my day going to look like with this new change? Here's how you handle that. Communicate what you're doing. Right? So your team will increase their understanding of the change or the initiative, the improvements, based on your efforts and your communication of those efforts. So within that, there's something really important to highlight. Communication and of your desire or your vision is not enough. It requires action. However, action is not enough because it's really easy to take action in private where nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody knows that you're working on the business, right? They just see you doing the things you always do. And so it's really essential to communicate what you're doing and why. And then the third one, for people who are asking, why should I want to change? This is where that self-motivation comes in. Here's how you create that environment, is that you recognize the behaviors that you want to see more of. You recognize people for doing a good job. Unfortunately, in most organizations and in society in general, most recognition is negative. You idiot, why'd you do that, right? I can't believe you screwed this up again. You are always making this mistake. You're always showing up late, right? You are always recognizing negative behaviors and things that we don't want to see more of. But does that solve that problem? Does that make that go away? In my experience, no. And I think everyone in here who's a parent will probably agree with that. If the behaviors that get noticed and called out get duplicated, right? It's kind of that same idea of there's no such thing as bad press. So if you highlight the positive behaviors and the negative behaviors, correct in private if you need to, but in large, don't worry about it. Highlight the positives, highlight the people who are moving and getting on board with those cultural changes. If you do that, that creates an environment where people are pulled into that because they want some of that positive recognition. They want to be a part of the vehicle that's going in the right direction. Questions on this so far? Thoughts on this concept? I know it's a little psychological, but I think it's important as leaders that we understand the process of change a little bit. Questions, thoughts?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned over time is you can't be efficient with people. You can only be effective. So for some people, that might be 5 minutes of my time. For other people, that might be 2 hours. And all I can do with my people is be effective, not efficient with them. I try to be efficient with tasks, but effective with people. And as a leader, you're pulled in so many different ways, and your time is so valuable. But that dedication to being an effective leader, meaning being effective with that person has changed a lot for me, not being efficient with those interactions with my people.
I love that, Drew. Thank you for sharing. That's such a great line, and so true. Bill, did you want to jump in here?
No, I was just going to say a lot of this seems like, yes, that's the way we are. But until you see it in front of you, it really puts the question in your mind. Is that the way I am? Is that the way we are?
Right.
Good points.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing. Let's keep going here. So I want to give you kind of a simplified version of what this change kind of looks like. So here's you. You're the owner. You're the top level leader. You want to make a change. Here's your people, the people that you want to connect with, right? The people that you want to follow you and take part in that change, take part in making these improvements to your organization. So as a leader, it's really easy to fall into this trap of thinking that if we're thinking the right way, we're thinking about these improvements, if we're preaching the vision all the time, or we're doing all these things to keep the place running, that people see that and that's enough to inspire them. Unfortunately, that's not really the case. That's not really enough to motivate people to think and act differently. And the reality is that we often do these things behind the scenes, in private, or it's happening in our heads, but it's not necessarily manifesting in a way that other people can actually see and understand what's going on. And so because of that, there's a disconnect between the leader and the rest of the organization. So how do you overcome that? Well, you do that through action and communication, just like we said, by getting busy, by making some of those small changes, and by telling people what it is that you're doing. So that connection happens through action and communication. You can't assume that people know or understand what's happening or why you're doing the things you do. So show people those improvements. If you cleaned your desk like this guy right here, show them, hey, here's my desk. Check this out. I am so much more effective because I cleaned this thing off. It only took me 5 minutes to do it. And boy, I've been so much less stressed. I've been happier. You've probably noticed, right? Joke about it. Self-deprecating humor is great when you're a top level leader. Also, ask them for input. Hey, what ideas do you have? Do you think you could do this? What do you think the benefits are? Could this work for you? Ask those kinds of questions. And through that, your team is going to be inspired to think creatively, suggest things, and take action themselves. So this is how we break that barrier down. Thoughts, questions before we get into number 3? Feeling good so far?
Good.
All right. Okay, so tip number 3, this is maybe the most important one, is you have to be consistent. Okay, so it's great to take action, it's great to communicate, but if you only do those things one time, it's not enough, right? So imagine wanting to win the Super Bowl, as many of our teams do. Go Hawks. Probably just lost half the room by saying that, but that's okay. I don't care. Go Hawks. But imagine if you wanted to win the Super Bowl, but you only showed up to one game. What do you think your odds would be? 0, right? You have to show up for the game every single time if you want to be in contention, right? And so when it comes to culture building, when it comes to making improvements and getting people on board with this, the size and the impact of those improvements are secondary. Now, we may think that, oh, if I just do this big change, everyone's going to be so excited. Usually it's the opposite. They're frustrated that you changed everything on them, right? So it's really easy to think, though, that like that one golden nugget, that one big thing is gonna change everything. Actually, the primary task when it comes to cultural change is to follow up success with more success regularly. Okay, that's key. If you take nothing else away from this, take that one. Is number one thing is to win and win often. So what does that mean? You want to keep your goals pretty small. And so I like to focus on incremental improvement. This is another picture from one of our DMA members. Brett, is this from you? Is this one of yours? Oh, Brett may not be with us right now. Anyway.
Yeah, it is.
This is you? Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nice job. So this is, if you can't tell, it's a tool cabinet. We've got flathead screwdrivers, Phillips head over here. We've got some nut drivers of different sizes up here. This is a beautiful and organized tool cabinet right here. But this didn't all happen at once. So this started by bending up one of these little trays and then drilling some holes in it, right? That was step 1. Step 2 was, hey, let's put all the screwdrivers in there. Great. Oh, hey, wouldn't it be great if we had all the flatheads on one side and all the Phillips on another side? Cool. That's another improvement, right? Hey, let's write on here and draw a line so we make sure things go back in the right place. That's another improvement. Hey, we've got all these nut drivers in the drawer too. Let's hang those up. That's another improvement. Again, label, another improvement. Organize, another improvement. We're looking at this picture. It looks like one great idea. This is actually about a dozen great ideas that happened. And it happened over the course of time. And because of that, each one of these steps took a minimal amount of time commitment. There were multiple milestones where you could share progress with people and communicate what you were doing and inspire them towards small changes. It was easy to involve others. We could take everyone who worked with this station and get their input, right? Especially as we were going. And we had consistent wins. This gives you something to talk about. If you do this bit by bit, it gives you something to talk about every single week for a month, right? Or every single day for a month, even if you really go bit by bit. So it's important to break things down. With this concept, you want to make sure you're keeping your goals small because it's more important to show results than to dream big. That's a hard concept for a lot of us, right? Because we've got a lot of dreamers in the room, but it's more important to show results and win often rather than get that one big win. Why? Because maybe you get that one big win twice a year. Well, what happens for the other 10 months? To your employees, it looks like a whole lot of nothing, right? That's not inspiring people to follow you. That's not giving them that example. If you can make small changes and always be moving forward and tell people what you're doing, that you are creating an environment where they want to follow you, and your organization will look completely different a year from now than it does right now if you focus on this concept alone. Any questions, any thoughts, guys?
I love it. What I like about this presentation, and not that I haven't enjoyed all of them, but these things apply whether you're managing a sales team or whether you're running the spiral department in your shop, running whatever it is all of us do. But the same goals can be applied and can make our systems work best. So
thanks, Robin. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Okay, so we're going to wrap up today with a couple of exercises. The first one is going to be a brainstorming exercise. So I'm a manufacturing guy. I've been in manufacturing since I was 16 years old. I still am, and I love it. And so this example will be coming from a manufacturing standpoint. If you're not in manufacturing, you're still going to be successful. You're still going to be okay here. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to flash a picture up on the screen, and we're going to take 90 seconds together, and we're going to see how many different improvement ideas we can come up with. Okay, so you're going to talk. I'm going to write them down. And again, you don't have to figure out how you're going to solve it. You don't have to give me the solution. You don't have to give me the reasons why. Just throw out an idea. Hey, would this be better? Yes or no? And so what we're going to do is we'll take 90 seconds. We'll see how we do here and see if we can come up with maybe some of those small wins, some of those simple ideas for improvement. You ready? Here we go. All right, everybody unmute so you can talk. You right? All right. You all ready?
Yep.
Jamie, you're still muted. We got a couple of you still muted here. Anyone who wants to participate, unmute. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. All right. Actually, before we start the clock, let me give you a little backstory. This is a Pexto machine, a roller machine for making round fittings, and there was an improvement done on this machine. So previously, these are all the different dies for different kinds of flanges and things that they would put onto a part. Previously, these were all just sitting in one tray, all mixed up. But these parts, there's 2 dies for each one, and they have to go together. And so what this person did as an improvement, which was a brilliant idea that saved hours, is they put the dies together on this piece of metal so that they could always find the parts they need, and they were right there, so they could do the changeovers really fast. So I want you to take a look at this picture. I'm going to start the clock right after I stop talking. And I want you to just shout out any ideas or questions you may have on how we could make this even a little bit better. 3, 2, 1, go.
Label the dies. And
Okay, next.
I type, yep.
Okay, next.
Describe what the die would do along with the labeling.
Okay, great. Next.
Put the Schmitty somewhere other than on the electrical box.
Okay, yeah. Okay, next. Come on, guys. I know you can see more.
Cleaning the whole exterior, painting it.
Paint it. Yeah.
A
What else?
container for the tools that are sitting on. You can see those Allen wrenches and everything like that are sitting there, like a box or something that's
Gotcha,
like,
Drew. Next. Sorry, Drew.
that's all right.
More. More,
Maybe-
more.
Maybe the foot pedal, maybe paint it orange and clean it up.
Okay,
Secure
great.
it.
What else?
Clean the machine.
Yeah. What else?
Maintenance material near the machine.
Okay. What else?
Put the machine on cast? Nah, that's not.
Hey, we're not evaluating the merits. Good. Next.
I see
5 seconds.
the shaft or the drum looks like it needs cleaned or oiled or greased or something.
Yeah.
Color code the dies.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just writing this down. Okay. I wrote it all down on a piece of junk mail that was on my spotless desks. That tells you something about my head. All right. So I'm counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ideas, guys, in 90 seconds. Okay. 11 ideas in 90 seconds. I don't ever want to hear we have nothing to improve, because none of you have ever seen that machine before. And all of you came up with ideas, right? We have 11 different ideas. In just 90 seconds, we came up with 11 different ideas. Now, here's some of the ideas we've got. Label the dies. That's a great idea. So you know what they do, right? How long do you think that would take to do?
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Yeah, I agree with that. How about, let's see, clean the machine? That could take a little while. That's probably a good idea, right? So we can make sure it's not leaking, it's running properly. How long do you think that'd take?
Half hour.
Half hour? Sounds good to me. Yeah. Color code the dies, put a little paint dot on each one. How long would that take?
Another 5
Minute.
Yeah, another 5-10 minutes? Sure. What about a container for the tools? Someone said that. How long do you think that would take to put together?
half
5
hour.
minutes. Tupperware
Half
paper.
hour. You know, if you got a little empty screw bucket or something, it'd take you 5 seconds. Yeah, I agree. All right, and we could just keep going and going, but you'll see none of these things are a huge amount of investment for time, for money, resources. They could all be done quickly. So here's the question: are we doing it, right? And if not, why? It probably speaks more to a cultural issue. We're not focused on this stuff, and we're maybe looking a little bit too big. But I guarantee you, if you start chipping away at this stuff, if you start having these conversations, not only are your people going to see it, they're going to experience the benefits. They're going to be so incredibly excited, just as all of you are right now, and none of you have even seen this machine, and you're all excited to fix it. They're going to be so excited, you won't be able to stop them from making things better. And that's how you create a culture that works, a culture that moves forward. So guys, that's it for me today. Thanks for taking some time with me. I want to leave you with this. This is something I always do when I'm coaching my teams, when I'm in there with a peer group, which by the way is what we do in the DMA all the time. We take this idea from Gary Keller's The One Thing. This is an excellent book about being effective at things that you do. And we talked at the very beginning about, I want you to take a gold nugget away rather than an entire gold mine of stuff you have to process and think about. So what's your gold nugget for today? I want you to, you don't have to answer. I would love it if a couple of you would answer. But I want you to think about this. What's the one thing from today that you want to stick with you? The one thing that if you focus on it and you make it a priority in your life, it's going to have a tremendous change for you and your organization and the people under your care. What's that one gold nugget for you? What's a key takeaway from today? Think about that. And does anyone have one they want to share?
I think offer more praise instead of criticism. You know, say what's good, not what's bad. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Do you do it? Do I do it? Probably not as much as I should.
There's no such thing as too much praise. I mean, really, I mean, you'd be blown away at how starved your people are for it. I love that, Bill. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, awesome. Anyone else have gold nugget?
Yeah, I think, at the stage of my life and my career, your energy starts to wane. And I think how I show up every day and what people are seeing. I think that level of accountability for a leader, sometimes we lose that focus and it's just part of being human, and it's something I have to do better.
Love it, Drew. Thank you. I appreciate your openness and honesty, man. Anyone else? One more, maybe? Going once, going twice. Okay. All right, guys, thank you for taking the time. If you like this sort of thing, I want you to take a look at the HVAC Duct Manufacturers Alliance. And by the way, you don't have to be a manufacturer to do this, but we talk about this stuff all the time. I've got a few DMA folks in here and they'll attest to that. But we offer on-site training and continuous improvement. We offer one-on-one coaching to help you reach your goals. We offer peer mastermind groups where you can get in there with other manufacturers, other people who do what you do, and work on processes with that single-mindedness of continuous improvement. And if you've tried lean manufacturing or continuous improvement in the past and it hasn't worked, we've got a methodology that works. And we have people in this room who can attest to that as well, who've done incredible things. Brett Barker with Hennemute Metal Fabricators, their organization of 12 people did about 340 improvements last year that made a difference to the bottom line and improved everyone's day. Incredible stuff. That's through his excellent leadership and consistency. We've developed a roadmap where you don't have to figure this stuff out yourself. It's simple, it works, and it's applicable. So if this is of interest to you guys, let's talk. I'm going to be at the ASHRAE show. I'll be at the SPIDA meeting on February 1st. If you haven't got your reservation, make sure you're there. Incredible organization, great people. You all know it. You're all part of it. We'll see you there. I'll also be at the conference. So if you want to have a coffee, grab a beer, I'm down for that. And I'll be at the SPIDA annual meeting in May in Boston as well. If none of those work for you, my contact information is below, along with my website. I'd love to have a conversation. And it's not about me, it's about you. I want to hear how you applied this information too. So please share on LinkedIn, email me, text me, whatever it may be. Tell me at the show. I look forward to hearing from you. And hopefully this has been of value, guys. So that's it for me. Robin, back to you. Everybody, thank you.
Great job, Graham, and thank you for giving us your time. And for all of you who have joined today, I think we've got the most attendees that we have had. And that's one of the things SPIDA wants to do, is help you do a better job at whatever your job is. He want to know what gold nugget. I've got just a handful of gold nuggets for myself. But thank you for also promoting February 1st. Now, a lot of you on this call have never been to a SPIDA meeting. You're missing the whole point. You need to come to the SPIDA meeting. It's going to be February 1st in Las Vegas. I would love for you to be there. I am the outgoing president, and so it's a party this February the 1st, and I would love for you all to be there. And then May 4th through the 6th, our Boston meeting is going to be phenomenal. Anything from golf to a factory tour, we've got it all lined up. Fantastic speakers. And then also, there might be other people in your organization who you would like to hear Graham's presentation, and they couldn't join on the call today. This will be put on our website probably within the next 48 hours, and you as members, you can share it. Like I can share it with Mr. Hamlin, and he can go on the website and he can watch it. You've got other people in your team that you may want to see it so that they apply it to the small group that they supervise. That's all part of being a member of SPIDA, and you can gain, and your whole company can grow, not just us here on the call. But I do thank you for joining us. I hope to see you in Las Vegas, and thank you for being a SPIDA member. And if there is a topic or something that you would like to see discussed, let me know, and we'll see if we can't find someone to talk about it. If we don't, we'll put Drew and Scott on. They know everything. So I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Rob.
Robin.
Stick around for the next few
Thanks,
minutes if
Graham.
anyone has questions. Yeah, thank you all.